If you held a golden ticket to the world of the elite, would you be willing to give up that privilege just to uncover the truth? For Sophia Carter, nothing was more precious than understanding what was truly happening within the empire her father had built. At 25, the only daughter of James Carter, the founder of Sky High Airlines, Sophia wasn't the type of woman to live off her family's legacy. She had studied in England, majoring in customer service, and had thrown herself into the grind at various airports as an anonymous intern. Those experiences made it impossible for her to turn a blind eye when she received a flood of complaints about the airline's service quality for passengers with special assistance needs. On a quiet morning at Terminal 4, Sophia silently set her plan in motion. She chose an outfit so plain that no one could possibly recognize her. Dark sweatpants, an oversized sweater, and a hooded cap that hid most of her face. In one hand, she held an economy class ticket. The other rested on the wheel of a wheelchair, her companion for the day, which she had practiced using fluently over the past 7 days. As she maneuvered through the security checkpoint, a whirlwind of emotions churned inside her. It wasn't the fear of being discovered. It was the first time she was stepping into an experience as an ordinary person, stripped of her title and power. Were the complaints she'd heard true? And if they were, could this system ever change? As Sophia approached the check-in counter, a cold wave seemed to spread through the air, despite the bustling airport around her. The woman behind the counter, Linda Harris, glanced up at Sophia with a look devoid of warmth, as if the presence of a disabled passenger was nothing but an inconvenience. "Could you help me check in, please?" Sophia asked softly, her voice tinged with exhaustion to maintain her role. Linda cut her off sharply, her tone icy. "No one reported any assistance needs. If there's no note, don't expect anyone to have time for you." "But I filled out the information when I booked the ticket. The airline has a policy for assistance, doesn't it?" Sophia replied, trying to stay calm, though her voice grew firmer. Linda rolled her eyes. "Policies are one thing. Whether we have enough staff to follow through is another." No greeting, not a single glance of empathy. While others around her were welcomed with smiles, Sophia, in the role of a passenger needing help, was treated like a cumbersome piece of luggage no one wanted to touch. But just as the tension stretched taut like a wire, a young voice broke through from behind. "I'm sorry, let me help you." A tall male employee with a name tag reading Ethan stepped forward and spoke gently to Linda. "This is our responsibility. We can't leave her stranded like this." Linda opened her mouth to argue, but Ethan had already knelt down to speak with Sophia, treating her as if she were the only VIP in the room. In Sophia's eyes, something sparked. Not just emotion, but hope. A faint glimmer of light in a system once described as cold and heartless. Sophia looked straight at Linda. She didn't need to shout. The truth was enough. "I've recorded everything from the start," Sophia said clearly, pulling her phone from her jacket. "If no one steps up to handle this, I'll post it online and send it to the press." Linda raised an eyebrow, letting out a mocking laugh. "Oh, you're threatening me? Go ahead and post it. I did my job. Not everyone gets VIP treatment at this airport." A man in line behind Sophia overheard and spoke up. "I'm recording too. As passengers, we all deserve to be treated with respect. You're talking to someone in a wheelchair." Linda spun around, her voice sharp with irritation. "Who are you? Who gave you permission to record? Delete it." The man didn't flinch. He shook his head and raised his voice. "If this is how the airline treats passengers who need assistance, people deserve to know. You can't disrespect vulnerable people like this." The air around the check-in counter grew tense, taut as a bowstring. People nearby started to take notice. Some pulled out their phones, beginning to record as well. Sophia maintained her calm gaze, her voice steady but firm. "I want to speak to the manager here. Not to argue, but to make one thing clear. I don't need special treatment. I just need to be treated fairly." Linda shrugged. "Want to see the manager? Fine, wait. No one's free to deal with you." But less than 2 minutes later, Ethan returned, accompanied by a man in a sharp suit, his name tag reading, "Howard, Ground Operations Manager." Howard stepped forward, his demeanor calm but serious. "Hello, I'm in charge here. I was informed there's an issue. Could you share what happened? Sophia recounted the situation briefly, her words clear and concise. She had requested assistance when booking her ticket, but this morning, not only was she outright refused, she was treated like a nuisance. Ethan, standing beside her, confirmed, I was here when it happened. She explained her needs clearly, but she wasn't assisted. The staff's attitude was completely inappropriate. Linda quickly interjected, I didn't refuse her. I just said I was busy and couldn't handle it right away. Howard turned to Linda, his voice lowering. We'll look into this later. For now, Ethan will assist her as promised. Then he turned back to Sophia, his tone gentle. On behalf of the airline, I apologize for this incident. Thank you for speaking up honestly. This means a lot to us. Sophia gave a slight nod. Ethan bowed his head respectfully, then began pushing her wheelchair away from the check-in area. His gaze was calm, but filled with a sense of duty. Linda stayed behind, her face darkening. She had no idea just how big a mistake she had made. Ethan pushed the wheelchair, guiding Sophia away from the check-in area toward the security checkpoint. He moved slowly, carefully weaving through the hurried crowd. Thank you, Sophia said after a few moments of silence. Ethan turned to her, offering a gentle smile. No need to thank me. I'm the one who should apologize. You shouldn't have been treated like that. Sophia nodded slightly, saying nothing more. But her eyes softened, the tension from earlier fading. At the security checkpoint, Ethan spoke to the staff to prioritize her screening. He stayed by her side throughout the process, ensuring she was never left behind. How long have you been working here? Sophia asked while they waited at the scanner. Only about 3 months, Ethan replied. I used to work at another airport, but I transferred here. Wanted to challenge myself in a more professional environment. Sophia gave a faint smile. I bet you didn't expect to deal with a tough case like today, huh? Ethan chuckled softly, but his voice remained sincere. Actually, I'm glad I was here. Not everyone gets the chance to stand on the right side. After clearing security, Ethan escorted Sophia to the gate area. He double-checked her seat assignment, then immediately called the ground team below to ensure someone would assist her during boarding. Who did you just call? Sophia asked, curious. The ground crew at the gate. I wanted to make sure someone will assist you properly. No more mistakes like earlier. Sophia looked at him for a few seconds, her gaze genuinely touched. It wasn't just that he did his job, it was the way he cared, as if she were family. Earlier, if you hadn't been there, I think I would have had to miss my flight, she said. Ethan shook his head. No way. You're a passenger. Our job is to help you complete your journey, with respect. The air around them grew quieter. The crowd buzzed on, but in their small space, time seemed to slow. Sophia let out a soft smile. I really hope this company has more people like you. Ethan just smiled back, saying nothing. But in his eyes, there was a sincerity that needed no words. Meanwhile, Linda stood far off in the office, watching through the glass, and could only remain silent. Ethan escorted Sophia to the boarding gate. Everything seemed to be in order. He had confirmed her information with the check-in desk beforehand, ensuring all assistance requests were properly logged. Flight SGH12 is now boarding. We invite passengers in premium class and those requiring mobility assistance to board first. The announcement echoed evenly through the terminal. Ethan leaned down, offering Sophia a reassuring smile. It's all set. I'll take you right to the plane's door. But when they reached the gate, the staff member glanced at the tablet and shook his head. There's no record of a wheelchair assistance request. We don't have a lift here. If she needs to board, she'll have to use the stairs like everyone else. Ethan frowned. That's not right. I'm certain I confirmed everything. She's a passenger with special assistance needs. The staff member shook his head, pointing at the screen. There's nothing in the system. Maybe the check-in team didn't send the report. Sophia looked at Ethan, her voice low and tinged with sadness. Maybe someone forgot on purpose. Linda, a small act, failing to forward the assistance request, but enough to make the entire system unaware. A subtle yet malicious blow. Ethan took a deep breath. He didn't call the manager. He didn't wait. He turned to a nearby staff member, his voice firm. "Help me out. We're carrying her up to the plane." No one argued. Together, they lifted the wheelchair steadily. Step by step, they climbed the stairs, careful to keep Sophia stable. The wind from the tarmac blew fiercely, but Ethan didn't waver. At the plane's door, he wheeled her inside, gently helping her down and settling her into her assigned seat. He spoke to the flight attendant. "Please assist her throughout the flight. Moving, handling luggage, using the restroom. She needs proper care." The attendant nodded. "I'll make sure of it. Thank you." The wheelchair was carefully stowed in a separate compartment. Sophia said nothing, only gazing out the window. But deep down she knew. Sometimes you don't need to wait for the system to act. There are people like Ethan, ready to step up when it matters most, even without anyone backing them. Ethan couldn't sit still after the boarding incident. As soon as Sophia was settled in her seat, he headed back to the ground services office, where Linda sat, sipping coffee, her legs propped up on a chair as if nothing had happened. "Linda," Ethan said, stepping forward, his voice calm but firm, "why didn't you send the assistance information for that passenger at check-in?" Linda didn't look up. "I was busy. Besides, she didn't seem to have any serious issues." Ethan held back his anger. "She's in a wheelchair. She can't board the plane on her own. And you call that not serious?" Linda let out a faint, dismissive laugh, setting her coffee cup on the table. "Oh, Ethan, you're so new, so naive. Passengers like her always demand everything. If we're too soft, they'll walk all over us. You have to set boundaries." Ethan stared at her, disappointment flashing in his eyes for the first time. "That's not setting boundaries. That's a lack of ethics." The room fell silent. A few nearby staff members turned to look. Linda stood abruptly, stepping closer to Ethan. "You want to play the hero? Lecture me? I've been here over 10 years. Who do you think they'll listen to?" Ethan didn't back down. "I don't need anyone to listen to me, but I'll report this, and if necessary, I'm ready to testify." Linda froze for a moment, then hissed, "Watch your words. I can turn this around and say you overstepped, meddling in someone else's work. I have the right to request a disciplinary review on you." Ethan didn't flinch. "Go ahead. But before you can file that report, I'll send all the messages, emails, and recordings from today to senior management." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Linda standing alone, her face pale. The plane slowly taxied off the runway, climbing into the gray-white clouds. Inside the economy cabin, passengers settled into their seats, the sound of seatbelts clicking echoing softly. In the front row near the window, Sophia sat quietly, gazing outside. She sat still, with no one coming to help her settle in, no greeting, no confirmation of the special assistance she had requested beforehand. Her crutches rested at her feet, her carry-on bag awkwardly placed, as if no one noticed her presence. She wasn't surprised, but she was disappointed. An hour passed. When she needed to use the restroom, Sophia pressed the call button. It took nearly 10 minutes for a female flight attendant to approach, her face tired and slightly flustered. "I'm sorry, what do you need?" "I need to use the restroom," Sophia replied evenly. "I requested assistance for the entire flight because I can't walk on my own, but no one has helped me so far." The attendant hesitated, checking the passenger list on her handheld device, flipping through a few pages before looking up at Sophia with an apologetic expression. "I'm so sorry. I don't see any note about special assistance for you in the flight record. There might have been an error with the data entry on the ground." Sophia nodded, her gaze still calm. "I don't blame you, but I'd like to file an official complaint about this. After we land, I want to meet the ground manager at the arrival terminal." The attendant's demeanor immediately turned more serious. After helping Sophia to the restroom, she nodded quickly. "Yes, I'll inform the lead attendant and the ground team to arrange a meeting for you." No one on the crew knew that the woman in the wheelchair wasn't just a passenger with special needs. She was Sophia Carter, the one who carried the name of Sky High Airlines founder. 2:05 p.m. The plane landed. As passengers disembarked, Sophia remained seated. A ground staff member, Rachel from the Special Assistance Team, was waiting at the door to wheel her out. Rachel's expression was professional but tense, as if she had been warned in advance. Sophia was escorted to the VIP lounge, where a man was already waiting. His name was Gerald Flynn, senior manager of ground services at this airport. "Hello," he said, his voice calm but steady. "I was informed by the crew. You wanted to address a specific issue about your experience today?" Sophia removed her sunglasses, her gaze sharpening, not with anger, but with precision. "The entire trip, only one person helped me, Ethan, at the departure airport. Beyond that, no one did their job. I was refused, ignored, and dismissed from check-in to landing." She paused for a beat. "This isn't an isolated incident. This is a systemic problem, and I won't let it continue." Gerald stayed silent for a moment, then nodded. "Ms. Sophia, thank you for not staying silent. We'll handle this with the utmost seriousness." Sophia didn't need to say more, because at that moment, everyone knew this was no longer just about one passenger. Shortly after the flight landed, Linda launched her counterattack. She submitted an internal report accusing Ethan of overstepping authority, interfering with passenger processing procedures, and disrupting the airline's professional image in front of customers. In her report, she slipped in a vague insinuation. "I'm concerned that Ethan may have shown favoritism towards certain passengers for personal reasons." Howard read the report, his brow furrowing. He knew Linda was trying to shift the blame, but for fairness, he still called Ethan in for a meeting. Ethan wasn't surprised by the summons. He brought along his notes of the incident, email exchanges with the flight crew, and messages from the passenger assistance team. "I didn't overstep," he said plainly. "I just did what anyone in that situation should have done." Howard didn't say much, only nodding slightly. "Go home and rest. Everything is still under review." That night, Ethan left the airport later than usual. The parking lot was nearly empty. As he opened his car door, 3 figures emerged from the shadows. "Hey, you!" one of them growled. "Mind your own business if you know what's good for you." Before he could react, a punch aimed for his side, but Ethan dodged at the last second. He spun around, landing a precise strike to the attacker's wrist, then swept the legs of the second man, knocking him down. The third stepped back, but Ethan closed in, pinning his shoulder against the hood of the car. All 3 were stunned. One of them spat. "Watch yourself. Don't think you're untouchable just because someone's got your back." Ethan looked him dead in the eye, his voice calm but cold. "I don't need anyone to have my back, and I know who sent you." The man flinched, stepping back before fleeing with his accomplices. Ethan stood still in the parking lot, breathing slowly. Sweat beaded on his forehead, not from exhaustion, but from realization. For the first time, he felt this wasn't just a job anymore. It was a battle between right and wrong, and he had chosen his side. The meeting room at the airport that afternoon was tense, the air thick with anticipation. Linda had been urgently summoned. Ethan was present. Howard, along with a senior airline representative, joined the meeting, and Sophia, for the first time, was no longer in a wheelchair. She walked in with calm confidence, the sound of her high heels echoing sharply on the tiled floor. Linda's eyes widened in shock. You can walk?" Sophia nodded lightly. "Yes. I'm not paralyzed, but I played the role of a disabled passenger throughout this journey to see how the airline staff would treat someone like me." The room fell into a stunned silence, as if it had exploded without a sound. Linda's face turned pale. Sophia turned to Howard. "I am Sophia Carter, the daughter of James Carter, the chairman of Sky High Airlines. I was tasked with conducting this undercover survey to evaluate the quality of service and the ethical standards within our company." Ethan froze for a moment, then let out a faint smile. Sophia turned to him. "You were the only one who did the right thing, not just by procedure, but by conscience." Linda shot up, her voice trembling with defiance. "You set me up. You're the chairman's daughter, and you pretended to be someone else to trap me?" Sophia met her gaze head on. "No one set you up. You revealed your true nature all on your own." Howard signaled to security. Linda was escorted out, her face a mask of disbelief. That evening, after everything had settled, Sophia sent Ethan a message. "I heard about what happened last night. Weren't you scared of those three men?" Ethan replied simply, "I was scared, but thanks to learning martial arts since I was a kid, I know how to stay calm instead of running." Sophia typed a response, then deleted it. In the end, she sent just one line. "I truly admire you. The way you stood up for me, and the way you stood up for yourself." Ethan waited a few minutes before replying, "I didn't know you were the chairman's daughter, but no matter who you were, I would have done the same." Sophia read the message, a soft smile tugging at her lips. A strange but comforting warmth spread through her. Perhaps this journey hadn't just resulted in a critical report. It had also led her to meet someone truly trustworthy in a world full of pretense. The meeting concluded with an immediate decision. Linda was officially terminated for severe violations of professional ethics and deliberate discrimination against a passenger. There were no tears. Linda stood silently for a moment, her face ashen, then turned and left without a word. Ethan watched her go, saying nothing. He didn't feel joy, but he didn't feel pity either. Sophia stood up and approached Howard. "I hope the airline will review its entire onboarding and training process. This isn't just one person's mistake. It's a problem rooted deep in the system." Howard nodded, his tone serious. "I promise we will. Ms. Sophia, thank you for daring to face the truth." 6 months later, Sky High Airlines had undergone significant changes. Ethan was now the head of passenger services at the airport, the youngest in the airline's history. And Linda? After her termination, she tried to apply for a job at another airline. She was initially hired on a probationary basis, but within 2 weeks, passengers complained about her cold attitude and harsh words. The result? She was fired again. No other airline would take her. Her personnel record was stained. Accusations of discrimination, arguments with passengers, and blaming colleagues. No one wanted her. In the end, Linda took the only job she could find in an airport environment, a night shift janitor. Every evening, she pushed a cart of cleaning supplies, passing through the check-in counters, the restrooms, the cold, empty hallways. She bent down to wipe every water stain off the floor, the very place where she once sat with her arms crossed, judging others. Gone was her sharp tone, her mocking laugh, her dismissive shrug. All that remained was an empty gaze as she looked into the restroom mirror and remembered Sophia's words. "You revealed your true nature." A week after the incident, Sky High Airlines held a company-wide meeting for senior staff at its headquarters. The atmosphere was different, more formal than usual. Standing at the center of the auditorium was Sophia Carter, the chairman's daughter, but this time she was no longer undercover. She held a special report about her undercover flight, not filled with numbers, but with truth. "I posed as a vulnerable passenger to see how this system treats those who can't defend themselves. And I saw, some ignored me, some looked down on me. But there was one person who stood up for me, even without knowing who I was." She turned to the front row, where Ethan sat, neatly dressed in a black suit. "That person is Ethan Brooks." Applause erupted throughout the room. Ethan didn't just follow procedure, he did what was right, with his heart. And that's what I want to see in every Sky High employee. Sophia pulled a document from her folder, a decision. As of today, he is officially the senior manager of passenger services at our central airport. Ethan stood, his eyes shining with surprise. He didn't need the title, but this recognition, it made him feel that what he did wasn't in vain. After the meeting, an internal reporter asked Sophia, "What do you think is the biggest lesson from this undercover survey?" Sophia didn't hesitate. That kindness isn't in the job description. It's in how we see others, not through their circumstances, but through respect. 1 year later, on a beautiful morning in the airport's VIP lounge, this time with no incidents, no recordings, no inspections, there was only the sound of soft music and applause filled with blessings. Ethan and Sophia were getting married. The ceremony was simple, intimate, surrounded by those who had witnessed it all. From the shock at the check-in counter, to the moment Ethan stood up for a passenger, to when Sophia revealed her true identity. Howard raised his glass, grinning. One flight, one wheelchair, one timely word, and now we have a marriage. Ethan squeezed Sophia's hand, smiling. You don't need to pretend to be anyone. Just being you. You're still the person I wanted to protect from that very first day. Sophia looked at him, her eyes tender. And you were the only one who didn't ask who I was. You just asked, how can I help you?